Today I have with me Theba, a former caregiver, and we're going to talk about life after caregiving. Good morning, Theba.
Good morning, Carolyn.
Tell us how your caregiver journey began.
Oh, it began with both of my parents seeing signs of forgetfulness, confusion, nothing crazy but alarming since I was so close to both of them. And then had them both diagnosed in 2017 when I moved my dad here, and they were both diagnosed with dementia. Mom had Alzheimer's, and dad had dementia Lewy body.
So, and just for clarification, because I know you and we've had you here a few times, when you said move your dad here, you did not move them into the same home.
No, they were divorced. He lived in Alton, Illinois, and I moved him close to me. He was getting fearful, and he admitted it. He was scared. And when I asked him, "What do you want to do, Dad?" Because he had family in Alton, he said, "I want to be near you." And so I said, "Okay." And God worked out the details, and I had him here in about a month in an apartment near our home so that I could go by and check on him. Again, I wasn't sure the level of his disease. I thought he had Parkinson's, so I was clueless.
Were you clueless that you were stepping into caregiving as you brought your father here? Was it more thinking like, I'm going to help take care of help assist him? Or did you see yourself literally stepping in the caregiving role?
I did and I didn't. I did, but had no idea um, the pressure.
The pressure. And I'm not going to say it's uncommon because there are people taking care of two parents. I'm not sure if I've talked to anybody personally with two dementia diagnoses at the same time. However, I'll just to communicate that every caregiver journey is different.
Mm-hmm.
And yours was quite unique in a lot of ways. So, when did you become a caregiver full time?
My father died in 2019, and he had the finances to have care in his apartment. When I knew I was going to have to step in and be there more for mom, I retired from where I worked in 2021 and became her full caregiver since then.
And I know you're a woman of faith and prayer, but how difficult was it to step out of your life, basically your career, yourself, into a role of caregiving?
It wasn't difficult. I really felt impressed upon by the Lord that was going to be the step. So I had no anxiety about that. I think the level of focus that I knew I was going to need in our relationship, because we were so close, I just knew that I was going to be her cheapest and most qualified caregiver.
And that makes a lot of sense. So, how many years did you caregive for her?
22, 23, and she died September 30th of 2024.
So we are coming up on a year
Yeah.
anniversary. I always don't know what to call that.
Yeah,
It's
I just call it anniversary of her passing.
Anniversary of her passing. And how difficult has it been to step out of caregiving? Let's think about take a step back because we're talking about life after caregiving. How difficult has it been to step out of caregiving?
It's been a nightmare. I don't usually know what words to use, so I just choose. And when I say nightmare, I just did not realize how deeply how deep that loss was going to be. Meaning that I didn't see her daily, didn't love on her, didn't have giggles with her, didn't help her. So all of a sudden, not being a caregiver and having to focus on a silent house and me was very odd. So I realized that not only was I grieving the loss of my best friend, I was grieving the loss of my role, not only as a daughter, but as a daughter who was caring for her mom, my mother was relying on me, and there was a lot of value to my spirit that way. It was like she feels safe, she feels cared for. I'm her advocate. And though it was tricky and difficult at times, when she looked at me, that's how she saw me, and it made my heart full.
And as I'm sitting here listening to you, I'm thinking about the comparison of how easy it was for you to become a caregiver. Like you took that role and it was, you kind of glided and was an ease to the role. However, the difficulty of coming out of the role.
Yeah, I didn't expect that part.
Yeah. So, I'm being there with you a lot of the time. Uh, I know from my point of view, you were guided in a lot of ways to step out of the role. And I don't know if you really recognized it because during the end, you started participating in going back to church weekly Bible studies.
Mm-hmm.
You started doing a few more things for yourself. Do you take that as you saying or maybe even God preparing you for the step of yourself? How do you see
I
that?
guess. I don't know that I ever really looked at it that way. I was trying to make healthy decisions for the both of us, me getting out of the house, so I started hiring a caregiver to come and sit with mom. And so that way, when I went anywhere, I just wasn't occupied with worry. And so I would do things. It's still odd. I couldn't wait to come back home and see her smile. So it's just an odd transition, but I don't know that I saw it as a preparation because those times were small. Like, it's not like I took a whole week off. It would be a day or two during the week for about 4 hours.
So I guess when I met you, like you were not taking any time out, and you were quite difficult to get some respite to start respite.
Mm-hmm.
You're a difficult person to one of the difficult ones, and that's normal, right?
Right, because you feel strong. You're relying on the Lord. You physically and emotionally feel like you can handle it, but until you can't,
So
right?
when did
Until
you
you realize.
recognize? So when did you recognize that you needed rest, or you?
I don't know that I ever got rest. And to be honest with you, I haven't rested until probably the last couple of months. My nervous system was shot. Um, it's taken a while just to find some kind of balance because I was so up the whole time, like doing, doing, doing. Um, and at night, you don't sleep because you're worried, and if there's movement in the house, because she was becoming more frail, she would need help going to the potty at night, so I wasn't really sleeping. So I was always sleeping, but with my ear open to listening. So I really wasn't resting. And then when you're going through the grieving process of the loss,
Excuse me.
the loss of her, and then the loss of your role, and then your focus is like me, all of a sudden trying to figure out me. Like, what am I going to do now? And at the same time, just dealing with all the different emotions that come with losing a beloved.
Excuse me. So I guess I would say let's talk about the grief. So we do start grieving before the loss.
Anticipatory grief, I learned, but I wasn't aware of it then.
Yes, and we kind of talked about it, but we didn't give it a name. We
Right.
didn't like label it.
And you don't pay attention to it because you can't. You're busy.
So grief is such a personal and difficult thing. And you didn't sign up to be a caregiver, but then at the same time you didn't sign up to stop. Like you know there's a stopping point.
Right.
But you're not ready to let go despite being tired and exhausted. You're really not ready to let go of the
Oh, girl. I mean, she wasn't eating for the last year of her life. She was living off protein drinks. I guess she was living off of them. I don't know. I was just obsessed with giving her protein drinks and water.
Yes.
And that's the only control I felt like I had. So I think it's just such a psychological weird thing because, you have your hospice nurse, and you have experts like yourself letting me know what's happening with her, and you really can't accept it on so many levels. But then there's this one thing I can do: Mama, drink your water. Mama, drink your protein drink. And none of it was really helping.
So looking back, if you had one word of advice, and I know everybody's different, but hindsight being 2020, and all the caregivers that's listening, what would you suggest that they take from your story or do that you didn't think about doing?
Well, I don't think I would have ever imagined the abrupt loss. What would come with that? Again, not only the loss of her physically being in that house and all of a sudden it being silent, to my abrupt loss of, I'm not getting up to help her go to the bathroom. I'm not getting up to help her here. I'm not giving her this. My whole focus was her and giving her a quality of life. So all of that abrupt ending is extremely dramatic. And I know it's different for everyone, but I did not know it was going to be that hard. Even 6 months in, I was a basket case. I was so sad. I was so grateful that she was with the Lord, but so mad she wasn't with me. I think the reality for me also facing the fact that it was done, it was over. I'm never going to hear her laugh again. I'm never going to see those blue eyes. I'm never going to hear her say, I love you, Theba, thank you, or all the stuff. It was gone. Sure, I'm holding those memories in my heart, but it's not tangible anymore. You can't hug her, you can't help her. Yeah, I'm still processing and will be apparently for a very long time. But I would, if I could encourage, again, it's very difficult to focus on yourself when you're the sole caregiver. So I did some research. It was mostly about Alzheimer's.
Yes.
What's happening next and what's going to happen now. And I see these physical changes in her. So I felt empowered that I could Google stuff. But I wasn't focused on anticipatory grief. I wasn't focused on my own emotions. And I wasn't focused on learning or maybe gaining some insight tools about what was to come after she passed. So I did step into every way in which way I could to educate myself after the loss. But if I had known the depth of that despair, I would have done some research to have an idea, but really, would that have, I don't know.
So, grief, we have learned, is just such a difficult process. And it's different for everyone. And although how do you prepare for grief?
You can't, because we knew, you were my friend, you were over often. We knew she was changing and how she was changing, but I don't think you can prepare for it. You know that it's going to end at some point, but there's no way you can wrap your mind around that reality, the effect it's going to have on you.
And I think one part of, and I don't know about all diseases, I'm sure there's like processes. So being there with you, I know there were some times when you think you're preparing yourself because you like, I think this is it. Like they stop eating, sleep for days, and you like, I think this is it. And then out of nowhere, they
bounce back.
bounce back. And you're like, wow.
There were 3 days I thought that was it. And when she started feeling better, I had to come apart because I was like, there she is. But for 3 days, I was like, oh, her breathing, everything. And this was months before she actually passed. And so it is psychologically, it just takes its toll on you because then, there she is. Okay. And now what? And then when are we going to have the next 3 days? And are they going to be longer? So you're constantly you're just preparing, but you're not conscious of it. It's like, it's the worst. Grief has been the worst journey experience of my life.
I would agree with you. So, and from my personal experience, grief is probably one of the most difficult things to bear
Yeah.
when you lose someone that's very close to you. So, I know you did some brave things. I don't know if you call them brave, but I'll call them brave. Because we can't prepare, talk about some steps you took after your life, after caregiving, to bring yourself more centered to the new you. Because there's not an old you, there's a new you
There
after
is a
care.
new you. And when they say that you're a different person, you begin to sense that you're different. It doesn't mean different in a bad way, but there is that newness. Um, what I did is, even though I was still, I mean, right after she passed, you're in this weird phase where you seem like you can handle everything and anything. But I don't know. You don't know and you know. So, what I did, because I like to be proactive, as you well know, is I got on a website that I did 30 days of grief counsel, and it was mainly so I could learn from others. So it was a group of people on like a Zoom from this renowned expert named David Kessler that my therapist had recommended. And hearing him respond to other people who were dealing with grief, and then hearing about their experience was I know without a doubt helpful. I got his book, I read the book, and what always helps me is to understand, first of all, that I'm not losing my mind, because you do. You feel like you're losing it, like you are never going to come out of this hole. So hearing that people do, so again, language, tools, responses were helpful. So I did a 30-day grief, and then of course I had my friends who had gone through it with their moms, really good friends who could help love on me, and I could at least connect with them and not feel like I was completely an alien, because you do feel awfully alone. Um, and I think the hardest part for me was actually leaving the house, coming back, and she wasn't there.
And the new you. What
Mm.
does the new Theba looks like these days?
Well, it's every day a prayer of God revealing that to me. It's hard to think of a fresh new start and focus when you're in such grief, because it's so, like, there are days I didn't want to get out of bed. Um, so it's hard to look at it that way, because it just doesn't seem possible. It's like any depression, bouts of depression that someone has. You think you're in it and you're never going to get out. And it's very scary. So I spent a lot of time just telling God I was weary and I was afraid. I knew He was with me. I knew that He was going to walk with me through this. But man, when you're in it, you even feel isolated from Him. So it's very difficult to all of a sudden. So it frees up my gray matter, my brain, to think of other things except for her, because it's real easy that's your sole focus. So all of a sudden you're like, ah, who am I? I remember my mom was after the divorce, years after the divorce, and Mike and I were grown, and she was brushing her hair, and she put the brush down, she goes, I don't even know who I am. And I'll never forget that. She didn't elaborate, because she wasn't someone that expresses a lot of emotion, but that's kind of, I get it now. I'm like, who am I? I know that God is going to reveal the next story of my life, the assignments of my life, and I sense that. I'm beginning to sense that. I see a little bit of it, but the goal for me is not to just rush into it because I need to feel valued or fulfilled, but to take it at a pace that's not normal for me, so that I can rely on Him every second. So I'm definitely, for the first time in my life, living in the present and really focused and prayerful about the present. Because when you are a caregiver, though you're in the present moments, bathing them, taking care of them, you are always thinking about what's coming. So you jump ahead a lot in your thoughts of assumptions and worries and what's going to happen if this happens, and so you're not so much in the present as you would like to be. So now I'm here. I am my cat. Well, my cat's pretty self-sufficient.
Yes.
So now my focus is on me. Okay, that's strange and different, but with his guidance, I can begin to see what he's planning. So I'm coming kind of out of that valley of despair. And I know there'll be moments. I mean, there are moments in the house when I'm like, oh, mama, because I realize she's not there. But yeah, it's different for everyone I know, but there's some similarities to the actual grieving process that are important that people know. You're not alone in your thinking.
And I think that's important. So, two things I think we have gleaned from your experience today is uh, when the journey is done as a caregiver does not mean that it is a ease out of caregiving.
Right.
Like there's not like it's done and now I can move forward. There's a space to that grieving is going to happen. That's different and difficult, and that you are no longer that important role that you have put your all into
Yeah.
for some people years, months. And you start to identify yourself as a caregiver. And when that is over, finding your new space and place in your own life.
Yeah, I think I remember when you came over I was already thinking about joining an organization that was a caregiver of people. Like I was going to jump right in there and caregive for somebody else, because that's where I saw my value and so we were like, whoa, slow your roll.
Yes, you were ready. I think you were like writing intros and what you're gonna do. Yeah,
I already had talking to someone. I mean, this was like month after. I was so void of feeling like I had value that I was going to like. Well, I must know what it means. I need to be a caregiver of someone else and make them feel loved, like I made my mama feel loved, and that will make me feel. Oh, yeah. So I had to slow my roll there and got some good insight from you and my therapist.
So I'm glad to hear that. And your shift, professionally has changed. Like you're doing some work for children in a
Yeah,
child.
some nonprofits
Yeah.
that I know and have had a relationship with. Creatively, I've been trying. Definitely, it's been a help because I can be creative the way I've always been, working in marketing TV for 25 years, learning new stuff. Because here it is, I'm 60, going on 61, and I have no idea what it's like out there. And it had changed exponentially. The whole marketing framework and foundation. And so I decided to just dig in and start learning what's going on with AI and the creative element.
You inspire me so much when you show me all your
Well, and
new
I had to do it
skills.
for somebody.
Yeah,
so I picked a few
yeah,
nonprofits
but
to do it for.
you don't know how inspiring that is. Just as other people, me, I'll talk about me, to see you go after your creativity. I'm like, yeah, I don't know how old you are, but you just told me 60 years old, not to be afraid of AI, new creative ventures, new marketing. It's amazing. So I want you to know you're an amazing lady, person, woman, and I hate to call people former caregivers because you always have that spirit, but just being who you are and moving out of that role as a caregiver into the role of Theba.
Right. I know my identity is in Christ. I'm his child. But what am I to do next here on earth? So I'm not married and I don't have children. So it's like, I'm not going to take on about 10 cats. I have one cat. So being able to extend my creativity and my love and my passion for helping others and waiting for God to show me what that looks like has been a real mystery, a real journey. But I have faith in him because he has shown his faith in me all my life.
I want to thank you for sharing your after your caregiving journey story. We'll stay in touch and keep up the good work, Theba.
Thank you, Carolyn.
You're welcome.